It's a chilling chapter from more than 20 years ago. Not over yet. Still sending shockwaves. The case of the Texas 7 still playing out on death row. And tonight, for the first time, we hear from one of the final prison escapees still alive, waiting for execution.
The 7 escapees had long rap sheets when they disappeared from the Connolly unit in South Texas, putting the nation on edge for 6 weeks. Eric Hernandez now with the first of the 3 Texas Crime Stories episodes, diving into one of the most notorious manhunts in Texas history.
Located in Karnes County, right off of Highway 181, the John B. Connolly unit is a maximum security prison that houses just over 2,000 inmates. On December 13th, 2000, the prison became the scene of one of the most brazen prison escapes in Texas history. 7 convicts were able to overpower civilian employees and prison guards around 11:20 a.m. They left their victims knocked unconscious and tied up in an electrical room. After stealing their clothing and identification, they made their way out in a prison maintenance truck. Once out, they jumped into a getaway car left by one of their fathers. The men, George Rivas, Michael Anthony Rodriguez, Donald Newberry, Patrick Murphy, Larry Harper, Randy Holprin, and Joseph Garcia were on the run, and their faces all over TV. They were dubbed the Texas 7. As they made their way across Texas, they found themselves in Irving on Christmas Eve. The plan was to rob a sporting goods store. As they were leaving the store with cash and weapons, they came upon Officer Aubrey Hawkins. 6 of the men shot at him, and he was then run over as they fled. For days, they couldn't be found until a tip came in on January 22nd. They were staying in a trailer park near Woodland Park, Colorado, which is near Colorado Springs. Rivas and 3 others were captured there. Larry Harper would commit suicide before being caught, and then the last 2 were arrested at a Colorado Springs hotel after a standoff. 6 were now all in custody and later convicted and sentenced to death. 4 of the men, including George Rivas, have already been executed. 2 still sit on death row, Randy Holprin and Patrick Murphy. Coming up at 6, we go to Livingston, Texas, to the death row unit to speak to Patrick Murphy, and he tells us a lot about being a part of the Texas 7 and why he believes he shouldn't have been given the death penalty. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
We continue now our Texas Crime Stories series on the Texas 7. At 5 o'clock, we spoke about the brazen escape and how they were caught.
Erica Hernandez recently went to Livingston, Texas, where those on death row are housed in the Polinsky unit. More than 2 decades later, one of the last surviving members of the Texas 7, Patrick Murphy, speaks about that daring escape and why he believes he should not be on death row.
Since 2004, Patrick Murphy has called death row home. Now 62, he doesn't do many interviews, but decided to grant ours. Nothing was off limits as Murphy spoke in detail about being part of the Texas 7. When you hear the words Texas 7, what does that mean to you?
A bad period of time. I necessarily don't like the label, but there's nothing I can do about it. And that's what we were at the time. We were the Texas 7.
Murphy spoke about how George Rivas was planning the escape.
George Rivas was planning it for a long time. I probably became active in the planning in the last 6 months. So it was a very long, drawn-off plan.
Did you think at the time that it was actually going to be successful?
At the time, I did think it could be successful. But like everything, once you actually start in something, the plan goes out the window.
The plan worked, and the group was on the loose for 6 weeks. The night Officer Aubrey Hawkins was killed, Murphy says he didn't take part in the shooting. In fact, he said he wasn't even with the other 6 when Officer Hawkins was killed.
My role in that was strictly as a driver, and I was monitoring the radios. And I had warned them that there was a police officer in the area, and I actually told them to get out, to leave, but they didn't at that time.
Because of the Texas law of parties by association, Murphy was given the same sentence as the others, the death penalty.
Because capital murder was not planned, okay? But I don't feel that I should be eligible for the death penalty because of my role.
Patrick Murphy was given an execution date back in March 2019, but at the last hour he was given a stay of execution, but not because of the law of parties. Coming up on the Night Beat, Murphy will talk to us about what should have been his last day alive and why he's at peace with his next possible execution date. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
And tonight, a man on death row speaks with KSAT.
Patrick Murphy is one of the last two men from the infamous Texas 7, a group of prisoners who escaped from the Connally unit in South Texas almost 23 years ago. You're
about to get a glimpse into what was supposed to be his last day alive. Patrick Murphy tells our Erica Hernandez he's at peace and he thinks his next execution date will be his last.
At the time, I was probably as prepared as I could have been, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually prepared to take the step into my next life.
March 28, 2019 is a day Patrick Murphy remembers very well. Because of the law of parties, Murphy was given the death penalty after escaping the Texas Connally unit and for participating in the murder of Irving police officer Aubrey Hawkins in December 2000.
The assistant warden, as we left Polunsky, turned around and says, "Murphy, what's your chances like today?" You know, I told him, I said, "They're thin, really thin." And he says, "Well, you know, that issue with the minister is not going to fly." And I said, "Yes, sir."
Murphy had requested to have a Buddhist spiritual leader in the execution room with him, but the Texas Department of Criminal Justice denied his request. His attorneys made a last effort to have his execution halted and argued his religious rights were violated.
At 5 o'clock, they come and they take the phone, they take the food, and from then on, you're just waiting, right? Because you know, they're supposed to start the execution at 6 o'clock.
For 4 hours, Murphy waited, and then the assistant warden came in to tell him a stay of execution had been granted.
I spent 4 hours, you know, looking into, excuse me, I spent 4 hours looking into the valley of the shadow of death, yeah, and I stepped back from it. I was really very shocked. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to act. You know, it was like I was relieved, but like I said, at the same time, I was, you know, kind of disappointed.
8 months later, another execution date was given, but again it was halted. A judge ruled that Murphy had demonstrated valid concerns about TDCJ's execution policy. Almost 5 years later, and Murphy hasn't been given a new date.
I'm pretty much of the opinion that if I do get a third date, it'll probably be the one.
Murphy says he isn't looking for forgiveness, but says being a part of the Texas 7 is a decision he regrets every day.
I made some really terrible mistakes, you know, and I'm not trying to deny them. I'm trying to do something, you know, a little bit better now.
Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.